Good afternoon to all participants, teachers, students, faculties, and guests. I am Angie Jalandoon, together with my co-researcher Jalandoon Mohillo, conducting research on knowledge, attitude, and practices towards open educational resources in higher education institutions in the Philippines. Development of affordable learning resources. This study is anchored on the research Portable Learning Management System, a platform for technology-enhanced flexible learning in schools with challenging internet connectivity. Globally, distance education has become a growing global industry in today's world. In the Asian context, OER have emerged as a viable alternative to pricey commercial textbooks, offering a means of more affordable learning. So in the Philippines context, according to Moreno Guerrero et al., stated that the development of ICT reflects the technological progress in the educational field and also promote innovative pedagogical actions and create new learning spaces. One of the pedagogical action is OER, which bears the attributes of concept of openness such as reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. OER plays a great role in the changes of librarians' role. And since librarians' service is influenced by librarians' knowledge, attitudes, and practices, therefore this study is significant. Why KAP study? The KAP model is a representative study of a specific population to collect information on what is known, believed, and done in relation to a particular topic. OER is already well known and widely used around the world. However, the Philippines lacks of information and implementation of OERs. When compared to other countries, some OER is not as developed. As per literature, open educational resources are essential to users in pursuing their education, especially now that flexible learning is implemented. Hence, this investigation assesses librarians' knowledge, attitudes, and practices about OER, mainly when OER are exceptionally useful in this pandemic where face-to-face learning is not permitted. This is our research question, but in this presentation, we will present only the primary goal of these studies to present the KAP, specifically the partial results on knowledge, attitudes, and practices towards open educational resources, based on the 4 R's of openness. The scope of the study is restricted to librarians serving in libraries partnered with HEIs in the Philippines that offer Bachelor of Library and Information Science degree program and also limited to online survey.
To visualize the concept of the study, here is the framework. It is actually modified from the concept of 4 R's devised by Helton et al. According to literature, OER has 4 elements, which is the reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. And these 4 elements of OER is the baseline in measuring the knowledge, attitude, and practices of the librarians or the respondents towards open educational resources. And since practices is somehow influenced by the knowledge and attitudes, therefore this line here connects to practices. And the KAP result is taken by measuring the level of knowledge, attitudes, and practices using the reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. And this KAP result is the key on the development of portable learning resources. But in this study, we will only representing the KAP result on the descriptive part, therefore the partial part, therefore we disregard on the part of the development of portable learning resources. So the KAP result is taken by measuring the level of knowledge, attitude, and practices by the reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute, which is the 4 R's of openness of OER. So in this study, we use this descriptive, correlative, and fully online survey method. The correlation also is used to measure the significance, differences, and the relationship between variables. Our environment are the actual 57 HEIs in the Philippines that offers 4-year Bachelor of Library and Information Science program that participated in the study. And we use measures of central tendency using mean and frequency on the descriptive parts and the person correlation on the test rate test reliability measures and Cronbach alpha on the internal consistency of the instruments and the Excel and free spaces software on calculating the data. The respondents of the study are the librarians, one representative in every HEI, so there are 59, so automatically 59 librarians using the enumeration procedure, total enumeration procedure, and we communicated them through online, through email, Facebook, and or phone code. In terms of demographics, there are 87.72% female and male 12.8% respectively, a total of 100%. And in terms of their highest educational attainment, the master's degree graduate are the highest participation from the respondents, and the average years of service is 18.93 years. In terms of the HEIs, there are 30 coming from Luzon and 12 from Visayas, and Mindanao is 15, a total of 57 or 100%. The status of school where the library affiliated, the highest one is the 70.18%, which is coming from the private college and private university. Here are the distribution of the respondents from different regions in the Philippines. So our instruments is a mixed survey form of checklist and rating scales, as well as the short answer one, and it is a self-constructed questions which is divided into 9 sections and based on the OER concept of openness suggested by Hilton et al. So the instrument has gone into validity and reliability testing. And in this table, as we can see, the test rate is reliability measures results, all the components including the agreement of level in the general questions or general aspects. It falls under the range of 0.61 to 0.80, which suggests a strong direct correlation. Although there is in the notion of OER that it falls under 0.5 something, but it still has the acceptable or moderate reliability. As well as in terms of the Cronbach alpha coefficients, all the components fall into greater than or equal to 0.9 Cronbach alpha, which suggests that the instrument has an internal consistency. Therefore, the instrument is reliable. Here is how we process our data gathering. On November 1st, 2021, we applied clearance from Silliman University Research Ethics Committee, which was approved on January 19, 2022, and followed by the validity and reliability testing for the instruments. And on 21st of 27, we distributed the first batch of the distribution of the online survey, and on 3 to 15th is the third distribution until the 5th follow-up on March 29 to April 5, and the last is on April 6, 22nd. This is our interpretation table based on the Likert scale or the ordinals and our research instruments. The first column here is the range, the second column is the verbal description, and the third column is the interpretation for every variable. The range is from 1 as the lowest and 7 as the highest, and the interval of the ranges is 0.86. 0.86 is taken by the overall score subtracting by 1 and divided by the overall score as 0.86, and this ranges is by adding 0.86 in every range. Based on the results on the library resources, by average, the total number of print resources in volumes, there is 81,620. The average of total number of non-print in volumes is 41,980, and the total number of subscribed databases of all HCIs is 23.39, and the average total open educational resources available in the library of all the libraries is 1,761.89. In terms of the cap on reuse notion of OER, the highest one is the 5.84. In this part is the 2 items, and adopting OER in other libraries fulfills the academic requirements of the students, and the second one is the integrating OER promotes innovative pedagogical models. This described as this is something I really do at our school, and the overall mean is still on the description of this is something I really do at our schools at the range of 5.75. In terms of the KAP notion on revised, the highest one is 5.82, which describes as this is something I really do at our school, and the items of making OER more retrievable to the library, and the overall mean is 5.31, still on the description of this is something I really do at our school. In terms of the remix notion of OER, the highest mean here is 5.42, which describes as this is something I really do at our school, and the items on recognizing the value of OER remix for greater competence, and the overall mean is 5.33. Still, this is something I really do at our school. In terms of the redistribution notion in OER, the highest one is the 5.82 rather. This means that this is something I really do at our school still, and the overall mean is 5.31. Still, this is something I really do at our school. In terms of the general aspects, the overall mean is 5.27, which means that I know this and I am optimistic or positive about practicing and learning this in school. The highest mean is 5.89, which on the statement of advocacy, raising awareness on OER among faculty, and describe this is something I really do at our school, and the lowest mean is 4.81, describes as I know this and I am optimistic and positive about practicing and learning this in our school, which belongs to that statements funding, assisting with funding to support. For the overall cap, the means of all means is 5.39, describes as this is something I really do at our school, which is false on the practices parts, and in terms of reuse, the 5.75 described as this is something I really do at our school. Likewise, revise, this is something I really do at our school. Remix, still, this is something I really do at our school. and redistribution still. This is something I really do at our school. And on the general aspects, this 5.27 describes as I know this and I am optimistic or positive about practicing and implementing this on our school. Based on the results, knowledge, attitude, and practices in terms of OER of openness is moderately practiced, which means that the respondents performed and integrated at school and further demonstrated moderately their knowledge and attitude towards open educational resources. Likewise, KAP in terms of the reuse notion of OER is moderately practiced, which implies that items under reuse were performed and integrated at school and further signifies that respondents demonstrated moderately their knowledge and attitude. In terms of the revise and redistribute notion of OER still, it is moderately practiced and implies that items under revise and redistribute were performed and integrated at school and further signifies that respondents demonstrated moderately their knowledge and attitude. In terms of the remix of OER, it's still moderately practiced and signifies that items under remix were performed and integrated at school and demonstrated moderately their knowledge and practices and attitudes towards open educational resources. For the last comp of CAP in terms of agreement level of general aspects, it is interpreted as the legible with favorable attitude implies that items under general aspects, respondents have the basic knowledge of OER and or do not have experience and skills but are favorable to implement and are positive varies and skills. So this further signifies that there is an opportunity to be incorporated into their library's strategic plan. So therefore, the knowledge, attitudes, and practices towards open educational resources based on the overall mean, librarians manifest moderate awareness towards OER. So therefore, the study affirms to Kalilong study in 2021 on her findings that academic librarians are moderately aware on OERs and that it suggests that lack of familiarity and exposure to these resources, these OERs, resulting to low appreciation from clients or the patrons, which gives mediocre or moderate quality or not very good impression from the patrons. And likewise, it still confirms that the majority of the librarians still in the early stages of learning about OER. These are our references. Thank you for listening, and once again, good afternoon.